Hello everybody and welcome to the final of the Gentry Invitational between Thijs Wetens and Frederik Mortier. Now, as most of you watching this will know, we had a lot of technical difficulties during the last two matches of this event, hence why the match between Thijs and Jelle also hasn't been broadcast. Now all of that footage has been lost. This footage actually is still usable, so you are getting it now. We are recasting this, so I am casting this sort of live as I am also watching the footage for the first time fully. We are joining in just after game one though. Game one was completely lost as well, with Thijs winning the first game, if I am not mistaken. So let's jump right into this first game for us, which is game two, between Thijs Wetens on Mono White Monument and Frederik Mortier on Blue White Monument. Now, for those of you that already know the outcome, that already have seen these matches, you will know that Thijs has a lot of aggro potential in his deck that Frederik does not have, but Frederik has a lot more late game potential in the draw effects from his Cloud Blazer and overwhelm potential in giving his creatures flying with his Aven Wind Guides, which is a pretty big deal. We see Thijs attacking here for 0 damage and playing the Aviary Mechanic. Now, Aviary Mechanic is part of the combo here. If you have 2 of those with an Okethra's Monument in play, you can play and bounce the other one repeatedly to generate as many 1/1 tokens as you have white mana available. A very strong and important tool in these matchups. In the meantime, Frederik has his Monument, where Thijs is currently playing more classic white weenie. He has the Marvin Fane to build something else up though. Ooh, but here we have the first Cloud Blazer from Frederik. Turn 4, since Okethra's Monument also makes it 1 cheaper. So Frederik sculpting his hand and setting up for later in the game, while Thijs is sort of forced to go on the offensive a lot earlier. Let's go back to Mavren just for a second, just to make sure that everybody knows what's going on, because I'm sure I made mistakes when I first saw this card in play. So Thijs already knows that he's fighting an uphill battle here, that with Frederik having the Monument and some card advantage already. We saw a flash of a cast out in his hand though, which can solve those problems, but first he wants to put some more pressure on Frederik. Fairgrounds Warden comes in to take out the Cloud Blazer and free a path for an attack. So the dice in the bottom of the screen are the life total, since the phone we used in the previous matches ran out of battery. Gets a token from the Mavren Fane. Such a horrible name to pronounce. Since it itself is a vampire, so when it attacks, you also get a token. So we have some pressure from Thijs here already. And Frederik now gets to deploy the rest of his deck. So a lot higher on the curve for him, with his Cloud Blazers on 5 and his Aven Wind Guides on 4. Oh, and here we have the Squawker, a staple for Gust Walker a staple in these decks and in the format for sure. So there's two schools of monument decks. One is using the cost reduction to play ahead of your curve and play all your creatures one turn early. In the meantime, Tace gets City's Blessing to make his Snubhorn a 4/4, and finally adding some presence to the board with that. So I was saying you have two schools. You have people who want to play ahead of curve, drop 5-drop creatures into play on turn 4, and you have the decks more like Tace's deck that aim more to play multiple creatures in one turn. So really wants to follow that Oketros Monument up with either a bunch of 2-drops or Conquistador fetching another Conquistador and adding 6 power to the board. So Tace holding the Dawn Feather Eagle, so capable of giving his entire team a boost and a cast out. So he has the choice here whether he wants to put on more pressure. That's probably what he's thinking about now, or if he wants to get rid of that Oketros Monument, because Frederick might be moving into deploying a lot of creatures in the next turn. Now he's attacking with his Mavren because he's getting a token from it anyway, and because we already know that Tace is playing a few of combat tricks in the form of impeccable timing that are making combat against this deck really awkward. It's a rather new addition in an otherwise rather streamlined and even linear deck that have yielded pretty interesting consequences. Frederick here playing around that impeccable timing by giving blocking with 4 creatures, so he can't just kill one and save his Mavren. And here it's unfortunate that Tace isn't playing the vampire pump spell that gives it +2/+2 and first strike, as that would have helped him here. Then cast out to get rid of the monument, and again forcing Frederick to play a fair game. So dropping the entire contents of his hand is a lot less exciting at this point. Swings in with the Cloud Blazer, because oh by the way, it's also a 2/2 flyer, as if drawing a bunch of cards and gaining life isn't enough. And we have another Dust Walker for Frederick, who is now Gust Walker. Now the benefit of having a replay is that I can pause it. So let's get Gust Walker back here, just to illustrate the fact that Frederick has a lot more power in the air. And then we have Angel of... I forgot it again. Angel of... having a quick cheat look at the deck lists here. Yes, you'll get that available for you soon as well. So Angel of Condemnation. Damn it, I was right after all. Angel of Condemnation. There we go. Which is a lot better in his deck than in most other monument decks, as he has a lot more creatures with interesting enter the battlefield trigger, especially the Cloud Blazer, which is already in play. Let's run the match again. Tace just making sure he knows what the card does. There's a lot to be said about the choice of rares in this deck, because as opposed to a lot of other decks, you don't really have a crazy rare that obviously synergizes with what these decks are trying to do. So you have a lot of choices there, and a lot of different impacts that the choices can make. In the meantime, Tace gets Dawn Feather Eagle, the finisher, pretty much in his deck, and that in a common slot, which is pretty cool. It's also a 3/3 flyer, which is not irrelevant on its own. Buffs the entire team and comes in with his 4/4 Snubby and a 3/3 mechanic. Friedrich has played around the impeccable timing before, and we'll see if he decides to do that again now. Thinking about how he wants to block here. So this would be a trade, and we're back to Tace trying to finish up Friedrich through the air. Well, Friedrich is amassing a giant board state to counteract that plan, and no, the screen isn't frozen. Tace just freezes from time to time. Okay. Let's see if Tace can punch through. The life totals, as indicated by the dice on the bottom, aren't really representative of what's going on. Tace attacking with the Conquistador to get the token out of Mavren. And Friedrich just wants to get rid of it and doesn't really care how. Tosses a ton of tokens. Almost loses his own creature in there. Now what do you want to kill? Kill the life linker first. So get rid of 2 tokens. I think Tace is a bit stuck in the mindset of his own deck here. He does have the Oketra's Monument. So that sort of explains why you would want to kill 2 tokens rather than a Conquistador, as he's at this point aiming to go wider than Friedrich and go around his defenses. Cloud Blazer pops up again. Second one of the match this time. Further pushes Friedrich out of range of Tace's capabilities to deal damage, but at least Tace now does have a monument, and there's still an aviary mechanic for him hiding on the top of the screen there. So he can still draw a mechanic and then make 4 tokens per turn. It's too bad for that Sunscorcher Desert, as that is 1 less token for him if he gets that combo. Friedrich, in the meantime, pretty much just needs to stay alive, gum the board up enough so that Tace cannot go around, because he has the power in the air. Even that Gust Walker at this point has pretty limited possibilities. Friedrich actually attacking, so giving up the option to double block with double Cloud Blazer, plays Gust Walker of his own, gets another token, and Tace just counting how many blockers there are in play. At what point he needs to start being scared that he'll be the one who gets swarmed around for a impromptu finish to the match. This is the championship game. Friedrich reordering his permanents a bit to make them a bit more recognizable here. There we go. That's a lot better. So we have a horde of tokens and a bunch of actual creatures. Count, 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 count. Too many. Okay. I could have done that for you, Tace. Too many. That's how many he has. Still has the 2 Conquistadors and just drew into a Fanbearer. Can cast all 3 of those cards now, but then he'd be sitting there, pants down, unable to tap, because this is his opportunity to punch through 3 damage in the air. Yeah. Huh. He's actually giving Frederick the chance to block with his Cloud Blazer. Gets another vampire from the Mavren. Frederick choosing to triple block the Conquistador. Also wants to go wide now. Triple Conquistador in order not to get blown out by an impeccable timing, which I don't think Tace would have played anyway. Now we get another Conquistador. Yes. There we go. And another Conquistador. And 1 mana left for a Fanbearer. There we go. Frederick having a look at that Adanto. That's tapping 4 lands for a single 1/1 lifelink token. Not that exciting right now. But at least Tace will definitely have something to do in the later turns. It's sort of the problem with the mono-white version of the deck, is it has a tendency to run out of steam, even if it does that at a point in which most adversaries would be completely overwhelmed by his cards. Not so much the case with another Oketros Monument deck that is just as capable of overrunning you with a sheer infinite amount of permanence. Conquistador. Definitely the most played card in this final. Oh. And now Frederick, with a tapped out opponent and a bunch of flyers on the board, gets to go onto the offensive, slides the card out to indicate it's exerted. Tace using the big square thingy to indicate that. Drops down to 11. Oh, and Aviary Mechanic, this second one, we get the soft combo. So 1 token, 2, 3, 4 tokens, and he keeps the Aviary Mechanic in his hand for later use. Bam. So this is the soft combo I was talking about. The combo the deck hinges on in the late game. Even if all it does is make a bunch of tokens, they're permanents and they have power. So they will eventually do damage. Tace under a lot of pressure now. Passes back immediately after having drawn and played a land. Putting it into play pretty much illustrates defeat here, even though it gives him the possibility of making a lifelink vampire token and tapping something down with the Fanbearer, but it doesn't look like he'll be able. It's actually tapping 3 things. It's a Conquistador and 2 Cloud Blazers. Now the question for Frederick is, do I want to get in there now or still wait another turn, knowing that he has the soft combo he can make? I think 6 or 7 extra tokens every turn from this point on, so no need to get all too fancy and open himself up for mistakes. Still has the 2 Okitros monuments in his hand and decides to attack with just a couple of conquistadors, as they can at least trade with a bunch of important permanents on Thesis' side.